What is up, guys? Welcome to the second video here. In this video, we are going to be creating the game file and JS file, and we'll also be doing the init function. So if you go ahead and go over to your folder structure and go on the side of the JS folder, let's create a new text document, and let's title it game, and delete that and make it a .js file. Save that. Now go ahead and open up that file in your favorite text editor or text editor of choice. And what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to be following what is called the modular pattern in JavaScript. So this is going to be basically our container game, and this is going to be the only thing that's available on the global scope, so that we're not cluttering up our global scope in JavaScript. So now that this is an object, we can store functions in it. And the first function that I'm going to create is an init function. This init function gets called one time at the very beginning of when our file gets loaded in. So at the very beginning, it will always get called once. What we need to do is we need to set up some of the basic structure of the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we need access to the canvas. So we need access to the background canvas as well as the foreground canvas. And the way we can do that is we can actually use just the default HTML5 API. And what we'll do is it's document.getElement by ID. And then all we have to pass in is a string, and it's the string of whatever that element is. So I have background canvas, and I also have the same thing, but it's going to be for the foreground canvas because we need both canvases. So we need the foreground canvas, and we just change that to there. Okay, so now we'll have access to both of those elements. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a canvas object because I want to be able to pass this object around throughout our entire app so we can draw to it and whatnot. So I'll make a property in here and call it background canvas and assign it to this variable that we created. I'll do the same thing for the foreground canvas. And what I also need is I will need the context. And the way you get the context, the 2D context in JavaScript here in HTML5, it's the canvas tag. It's the canvas API actually that we're using. Is we just go, I'll name it, so I'll call it background context, and I just take this canvas that I have already declared up here, and there's a method on it that I just have to type get context, just like that, pass in a string and say I want the 2D context. So now the context is what we actually draw to, and so what I'll need to do is go ahead and do the same thing here, fg canvas dot get context and pass in 2D. Perfect. So now we have that object created, and I'll show you how we're going to pass that along throughout the app. Next up, what we need to do is we need to get our background music into the game. So we can just create a variable here. I'll call it background music. I'll create a new object, a new audio object. And all you have to do is pass in a string of where that sound is located. So ours is located in our audio folder, and the file name is underground_theme.js. Just like that. Okay, and let's go ahead and make this so it plays. So we'll put it on a loop. So we'll set that to true. So what we did is we actually created an instance. This background music is an instance of an audio file. And on this audio file, there's a method that's called loop. And we are just setting it to true, so it will constantly be playing over and over. Okay, the last thing that we need to do right now in our init function is we need to make sure that we load in the sprite sheet. But we're not going to run the game until we have finished loading in that sprite sheet. So what we can do is we can create another variable, kind of the same thing that we did with the audio file, but now we're creating a new instance of an image. So I'm going to do new image. Now we have a new image, and I can set that image as source, just like this, and pass in the folder location. So sprite underscore sheet dot png, just like that. Now we have that, but what I want to do is I want to add an event listener and waiting until that file that we just created right there is loaded. So we can easily do that by just attaching an event listener. So sprite sheet dot add event listener. The type is a load, and then we can pass in a callback function just like that. So now what's going to happen inside of here is once this sprite sheet is completely loaded on the browser, then we can run this sprite sheet. So I'm going to get access to myself like this. Well, actually in this, we don't need that. We can use this. So let's see. I'll do var sprite sheet is equal to this. So now we have reference to the actual image itself. I'm going to create a data object. This is what's going to be passed around throughout the game to all of our different modules. So inside the data, we're going to have an animation frame that's constantly being upgraded. Of course, it starts out at 0. We are going to pass it our sprite sheet, just like that, so we can draw from that. And then, of course, our canvas object that we created up here. Okay, so now we have the data. Next up, we can do background, music, and there's a method on there that we can run. It's just .play, and we'll instantiate it and play it. So now the music will play once that's loaded. The image is loaded, and what we'll need to do next is we will need to call a game.run. So inside of the run function that we'll be creating in, I think, the next episode is where we will create our game loop and whatnot. But we get there after this image is loaded. We create our data object. We pass in that data object to there. And let's go ahead and save. And of course, this would throw an error right now because we don't have a run method on our game object. But in the next episode, we'll create that. So let's go ahead. Let's end right there. Save it. And I'll see you guys over in the next episode. Later.